Our next speaker this morning, Mr. Jack Kantola. Here we go again. Our second speaker, Mr. Jack Kantola, is doing yet another icebreaker. This time, using the new Pathways educational program. Let's find out if he has anything to say. The title of the speech is, Hey Jack! Speaking 4 to 6 minutes, please welcome with me Mr. Jack Kantola. Hey Jack!
It was a warm September day in mid-1957. I was walking down London Road in Duluth, Minnesota, when I suddenly heard a voice cry out, Hey Jack! I turned to see if they were calling me, and I saw two of my high school classmates. Mr. Toastmaster, most welcome guests and fellow Toastmasters. Little did I know that Hey Jack would significantly alter the course of my life. You see, I graduated from Lincoln High School in Floodwood, Minnesota in June of 1957, and I had a bold plan for my life. I was going to go to the University of Montana and study forestry. That is, until the whole subject of how was I going to pay for it came up. My parents didn't have any money. I didn't have any money. Student loans were something way off in the distant future. So I realized plan 1 wasn't going to work. That's okay. I'll pursue plan 2. Join the Army. So I met with my local recruiter. We discussed it. I got an MO, and I got set up for my Army physical in Minneapolis, Minnesota. My family drove me to Duluth, and we had a tearful goodbye as I boarded the Minnesota Gopher to the train to go to Minneapolis. I was doing amazingly well on my physical. I was passing everything up until it came time for the eye test. I walked into the room, and the examiner said, step to the line, take off your glasses, read the second line from the bottom. Blind. 2400 vision. I couldn't see anything. So I took my glasses off and I said, I can't see it. We worked our way all the way up to that big E at the top. And I said, I know what it is. I saw it when I came in. And he said, well, walk up until you can see it clearly. Well, that's a relative term. So I went about a third of the way up and I said, that's pretty good. Well, you know, 1957 was probably the most quiet time in the world in the 20th century. They didn't need recruits. And I suddenly found myself classified 4F, unsuitable for military service. I boarded the train back to Duluth. My brother came up and picked me up reluctantly. And then I spent my weekdays riding to Duluth with my brother Dave, who had a job at Superwood. And as he pulled into the parking lot at Superwood, I would get out of the car and I would walk the streets of Duluth, stand in the unemployment lines looking for a job, any job. Well, 1957 also, it turns out, was a very time of recession in northern Minnesota. If you're not having a war, you don't need iron ore. And iron ore is what northern Minnesota thrived on. So there were no jobs. After a few weeks of this, I heard the, Hey Jack! My two high school buddies, Roger and Harvey, were having lunch in their car. And they invited me to share a sandwich. And during lunch, they told me about how they were going to school to study to become electronic technicians. I said, that's wonderful. I said, but boy, that's got to be expensive. And they announced to me that it was free to Minnesota residents under the age of 21. I did a quick analysis and realized I qualified. Then I loudly announced, I've always wanted to go to electronic school. Walked in with them after class and enrolled. If I hadn't heard that, Hey Jack, I'd probably still be wandering around northern Minnesota wondering what the heck to do. That Hey Jack got me an electronic certificate. That electronic certificate got me a job at Honeywell in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I worked on space flight systems. I worked on every one of the Gemini flights. But in addition, Honeywell paid for most of my college education. I went to the University of Minnesota and got a Bachelor of Science in Business and Administration. And that launched my career running manufacturing companies. Have you had a Hey Jack moment, or a Hey Mike, or a Hey Roxanne, or a Hey Greg moment in your life? Or maybe there's one in your future. I would encourage you to be sensitive to those moments. Life is what happens when you're making plans, and these opportunities come up when you least expect them. Listen for those Hey Jack moments and take advantage of them to achieve the success that you want in your life. Listen to those.